please be sure to check out Awab's video before you watch this one, because he gives you a brief overview of the gait cycle and also talks about some types of gaits. However, today I'll be covering some other types of gaits, starting with the Steppage Gate. So, as you all know, the Steppage Gate involves the anterior tibial muscle. The anterior tibial muscle usually performs dorsiflexion, and this dorsiflexion happens during the heel strike as well as the entire swing through phase, because your leg is basically swinging in the air and it's not coming into contact with the ground. So the anterior tibial muscle is responsible for dorsiflexion. However, in certain cases where, for example, the peroneal nerve is damaged, you might end up with the opposite of dorsiflexion, which is plantar flexion. And this is called the foot drop. So what the patient would do in order to prevent his toes from slapping onto the ground in foot drop, he would flex his hip and his knee to an exaggerated extent. So please note here how, as he's walking here in this leg over here, he flexes his hip and his knee to an exaggerated extent in order to increase this, the ground clearance. Now for the antalgic gait. It's also called the painful gait, and I'm sure pretty much most of you, if not all of you, have had to deal with this type of gait at least once in your life. So basically, for example, if you trip or fall and you injure your leg and it becomes painful, so you would tend to spend more time on the pain-free leg as you're walking, and you would develop an abnormally shortened stance or stand phase on using the painful leg. So as you can see here, he's spending most of his time on this painless leg, and he's trying to avoid standing on his painful leg. So this is called the antalgic gait. Now for the ataxic gait. The ataxic gait is also called the wide-based gait, and ataxic basically means without coordination. We have two types. We have the cerebellar or motor, and we have the spinal or sensory. In the cerebellar, from the name you can deduce that the cerebellum is affected. The cerebellum is normally responsible for coordination and balance. However, if it's affected, then obviously the opposite would happen, and you'd end up with uncoordinated sequence of footsteps. However, in the spinal or sensory, the proprioceptive pathways of the spine and brainstem are affected. Now, normally, these pathways are responsible for making the body aware of its location, movement, and actions, even when your eyes are closed. However, if they are affected, you'd end up not knowing whether you're standing on grass or on cement if your eyes are closed. You need to open your eyes in order to know where you are. Okay, so the ataxic gait is usually characterized by this widened base of support. As you can see here, there's a wide base between his 2 feet, okay, in order to support himself as to not fall over. However, he does have poor balance, and please note his inconsistent arm movements as well. And he's having a difficulty in walking in a straight line. Now, you'd ask me, so what's the difference? Well, the difference is that the spinal or sensory type of ataxic gait improves with vision. And why is that? Well, since the proprioceptive pathways are what's being affected, then you would have less feedback from your brain telling you where your body is in relation to the ground. And so if you walk with your eyes closed or without looking at your feet as you are walking, then you would lose balance and even fall. However, if you open your eyes and watch where you're going and watch your steps, then the gait would improve. Okay, and finally we have the shuffling gait, which is implicated in Parkinsonism. You should know that. And this is characterized by muscle rigidity. And so, since the patient's muscles are rigid, that would limit his or her movements. Okay? So as you can see here, the patient is taking very tiny steps as he's walking. And he's also having difficulty picking up his feet. And also, if you can note, at first, he's walking slowly, and then suddenly he starts walking faster. And so this type of gait is characterized by an irregular pace. And yeah, that's pretty much it.